I'm here with Toni HELLUMS. Toni, I wanted to interview you specifically because I have so many people ask me about autoimmune diseases, and I'm not that familiar with it. Can you share, because I know that personally touched you, kind of what that is, how it works, and tell your story?
Well, thank you, Kat. I'm happy to share this because I do know that so many people deal with autoimmune disorders. A lot of times they don't even know, but if they do, they're just given prescription drugs for managing the pain because they're told there's nothing we can do for you.
Wow.
So you just get on a lifetime of drugs like steroids or gabapentin are very commonly prescribed, tramadol, things like that. So people end up living on drugs, trying to just manage the pain. Well, I was diagnosed with mononucleosis when I was 11 years old. And as a kid, they call that the kissing disease.
Yeah.
So there's a huge stigma added to that because it's so contagious, but it's as if it's your fault.
Oh, but that's an autoimmune? Wow.
So finally found out years later, the mononucleosis was actually Epstein-Barr virus. And I did research, I did find out how you acquire that, but I'll save that for another time.
Okay.
So since I was 11, dealing with autoimmune, with that, and then when I was 30, diagnosed with fibromyalgia accompanying that. So they often come paired.
Wow.
You just may not know that. But I would do really good health-wise most of the time, except at least twice a year, it was as if somebody threw a brick at the back of my head. You
Ouch.
don't know it's coming until all of a sudden you're in bed with flu-like symptoms, but they last 3 to 4 weeks at a time.
Wow.
So I would do real good until I didn't. So I was a ski instructor, I was a runner in high school, a ski instructor in my 20s, and then all of that stopped pretty much at my 30s. I had such a bad flare-up, and with a flare-up means that your body's system has been overwritten in the immune department, and a flare-up, your body goes into an inflammatory immune response, and because the coding has been rewritten, it forgot how to shut itself off.
Wow. Ouch.
So the only way to get through it is either the drugs, or they do, you just go home and you just sleep all the time. So the first 12 years that Carrie and I were married, I spent most of that time in bed or on the couch with 2 little ones, homeschooling. We were running businesses out of our homes, traveling. So I would do okay, and I'd get back home and I was on the couch or in bed for 3 or 4 weeks at a time.
Oh my.
That was the first 12 years of our marriage.
Whoa.
Then I went quite a bit of span of time, several years that I didn't really feel the effects, or they were so minimal that they were manageable. And then in 2018, I had a flare-up, and I had what I thought was a cyst in my right breast that was the size of my fingernail. But that flare-up caused it to go to a size of a 50-cent piece in 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
That was in February of 18. By April, I was diagnosed with stage 3 HER2 breast cancer because that growth was now the size of an avocado in my right breast.
Gosh.
And I was dealing with back issues at the time with degenerative disc. And now this had happened, and now I'm going to be facing chemo and immunotherapy for the duration of the year. So dealing with all of that, it's very emotional. It's very taxing, and I'll even go back, in 1993, I had such a bad flare-up that I was immobile from here down for 3 weeks.
Whoa.
I couldn't bathe or feed myself in 1993 for 3 weeks.
Oh my.
And I had little girls at home, and my husband was out working, so my 6-year-old daughter is, to get her mama through the house, I'm putting my arms over her shoulders, and she's my walker to get me even from bed to the bathroom or bed to the kitchen.
Oh my.
So that's pretty hard on a little one.
Yeah.
So my girls, all they knew they're growing up was mama was sick.
Oh,
Or if we're not careful, mama's gonna get sick. That was all they knew.
Wow.
So dealing with all of that for these years, and then going back up to 2018, and all of a sudden it happening again, was very emotionally traumatizing. And not knowing, I don't know how I can pull out of this with the back issues and then the cancer, going through chemo and immunotherapy, which is going to be overtaxing my system, and because it wipes out the immune system when I'm dealing with 2 autoimmune disorders.
Yeah.
So fibromyalgia actually makes the lining around the muscles start hardening and encasing around the muscles. So I would describe it as feeling like my muscles felt encased in concrete.
Oh, gosh.
And my massage therapist goes, yes, that's pretty much what's happening. It's hardening. And so I would have to do myofascial release, deep tissue massage till I would be in tears, and then go home and then come back and do it again next week. This was my life until I received the Infiniti Matrix cells. And dealing with all of that in 2018, being on the couch virtually the entire year of 2018. When I got the Infiniti Matrix cells in July of 19, within a week, the back issues, 30 years of disc degeneration stopped.
Yeah, yay.
And my neck started going back to its proper alignment.
Yay.
And dealing with all the after effects of chemo and immunotherapy and all the steroids they pumped me full of, and neuropathy that I'd never had before.
Yeah.
But dealing with all of that exacerbated all the autoimmune disorders. But then I got the stem cells, the Infiniti Matrix cells. And within a couple of months of receiving those Infiniti Matrix cells, Kat, I started walking a couple of miles at a time with no pain.
Love it.
Within 4 months, I was jogging and walking intervals, 3 to 4 miles at a time with no pain.
Amazing.
At all, anywhere in my body. No back pain, no autoimmune. It's gone. The neuropathy was leaving my body. My neck goes back to its proper alignment. 10 months later, 40 years of TMJ leaves my body.
Wow.
And I'm now walking and running I'm now up to 5 miles again, because last July I ran a 5K in Fort Davis, Texas, which is a mile-high altitude, with our 36-year-old daughter, and we did 11-minute miles, and I turned 60 a month later.
Woohoo!
Yoo-hoo is right, yay God. So I'm now up to 5 miles, and I told my daughter 2 weeks ago, I said, honey, I'm running a 10K with you this summer. It'll be the first time in 40 years I've run a 10K. I couldn't do it since I was 20. But I can now because of these Infiniti Matrix cells.
Yeah.
And I've got my life back. I skied in February up at Wolf Creek Pass with that same daughter and her family, including all the grandkids. And this Mimi put the 45-pound twin boys one at a time between my knees and skied. I took turns with them and I skied for 2 days.
Oh my.
Picking them up off the ground, pick them up, put them on the ski lift, pick them up. If they, I did that for 2 days. And then I would go and off with my daughter and we'd go ski some fast runs,
So needless to say, your energy level has accelerated.
Yes. I was telling a friend last summer, I said, Pamela, I feel like I'm 40 again. And she got right in my face about this close. And she goes, honey, you couldn't do any of this when you were 40, remember?
Oh, wow.
Try being in your 30s. I went, okay, I'm in my 30s. And I'm just elated. I haven't gone back to get the titers measured in the autoimmune disorders in my blood. They're gone.
Yeah.
Because they're gone. Because these cells, if you're dealing with autoimmune disorders, these Infiniti Matrix cells shut the switch off. They don't just send it into what do they call it, regression or whatever that is. Send it back and just hope it doesn't show up again. This literally pulls the switch off. And if you're dealing with immunocompromised or immune suppression, they bolster your immune system and restore it, modulating your immune system back to the way God intended. Because when I was so sick, not only autoimmune, but because of that, I was told, Toni, if somebody sneezes in the next county, you're going to catch it. Well, and I bought that. I believed it, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
So I was sick. For
As
30,
a man thinketh, so is he. Yeah.
Yes. So for 50 years, I was dealing with this,
Wow.
and now I don't.
What? I love your story. But for the sake of those of us that have never really dealt with autoimmune, what else? You mentioned mononucleosis falls in that category. What other kind of things fall in the autoimmune?
Well, autoimmune, MS, multiple sclerosis,
yeah.
is autoimmune. ALD is the little boy's version of it's adrenoleukodystrophy. It's the little boy's version of Lou Gehrig's disease. That's autoimmune. Muscular dystrophy, cystic fibrosis, all of those things are actually
there.
autoimmune. Vitiligo, which is where pigmentation goes pink,
Okay.
regardless of your normal pigmentation. That's autoimmune disorder.
Wow.
Guillain-Barré is a neurological autoimmune disorder.
Wow.
So, meaning that the body's autoimmune system gets overwritten.
And isn't that one of the side effects from one of the COVID vaccines?
Well, from the shots,
Yeah.
because they're not vaccines, but
Well,
from
true.
the shots.
Yeah.
Yes, Guillain-Barré is skyrocketing right now.
That and heart disease.
And
so,
heart disease.
Yeah.
And all those other kinds of
Yeah.
adverse effects. The beautiful thing about the Infiniti cells is they have no adverse effects.
I
They
love
can
it.
never hurt you. All they do is do you good.
Amen.
So this girl whose building was imploding in 2018, I totally got my life back. I have this exorbitant amount of energy. I work 10 to 14-hour days.
Because
weeks
you
on
want
end,
to.
Because I want to. And we're traveling, and because I want to. I want to share this message of hope with all these people who've gotten hopeless like I was.
Yeah.
Because when the medical community, I'm grateful for them, but when they tell you there's nothing more we can do for you, they're telling us the truth. There's nothing more they can do for us. But that's not the end of the story.
Nope.
And as I tell people all the time, a diagnosis does not define you. That is not your identity. So stop owning it
Yep.
and
Well,
live again.
I absolutely love your story. Thank you so much for sharing it, because I've had so many people ask me, and because that is an area, and I had plenty of other stuff for my own body,
Yes.
but I didn't, that was one area I didn't fall into, thankfully.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate it. This is going to be very helpful to a lot of people.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
so, that's my prayer, is that this helps a lot of people and that they have hope again.
And get their life back.
Get their lives back like I
Amen.
did. So I just release that to everybody within the sound of my voice. What God has done for me is not a respecter of persons. What he'll do for one, he'll do for others. So I'm just blessing everybody who watches this, who hears this. What God did for me, I just speak that right now, that he will do this for you too. That is his desire. It's what Jesus paid for.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.